Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Epoch podcast. We are finally at the 1.0 launch, and most of us don't have too many server problems. So I'm your host, PerryThePig, and with me as always is my co-host here, Dread. Dread, welcome back.
Hello. Thank you, Parry. This is Dread. And in today's video topic, we're going to be doing the first official episode of the LE61 podcast.
The LE61 is the error that you get when you're trying to load into a town, doesn't quite get there. It's going to haunt people, but...
It is.
Most of the people, once you get into monoliths, it's not too big a deal. But when you're outside of monoliths, when you're in the campaign, it's a real pain in the butt.
I wanted to call the episode with David Harbour in it, but we didn't manage to get David Harbour on, sadly.
I tweeted at him and he never responded. I was surprised.
I know. I'm sure he's a busy man. I'm sure he's a busy man playing Loading Screen Simulator.
He might be doing that. I played Loading Screen Simulator for 5.5 hours because I jumped on late.
Mm-hmm.
But it was about 6 hours of just like nothing yesterday.
Yep.
Or on Wednesday. Yeah, 6 hours of nothing. Yeah, it was good. So we have a lot of things to talk about today. Just before the podcast, we said we might not talk about COF versus Merchants Guild because you went Merchants Guild and I went COF. I just hit Empower Monoliths. I've been kind of slow going. I tested a bunch of stuff offline as well, but you've been just nose to the grindstone apparently. So you're like 350 corruption and zone empowered. So we can talk a little bit about Merchants Guild versus.
I can tell you right now. So my stats right now is I was at 300 corruption, and I was rank 7, MG at level 95. That seems to be like the numbers so far. But I did also kind of screw with my favor by I listed a bunch of items that people couldn't even buy, right, for a while. So essentially I have a bunch of items that are late, that will sell later on and when people actually rank up. So I kind of sucked up a lot of my favors. So a good tip, try to sell things that are only sellable, that are easily buyable by people that are in the lower tiers of the Merchants Guild, right? Otherwise, you will have a bunch of favor that you're not spending and not getting reputation from.
That's funny. I've seen some people list things for 1 gold just so that they sell, just so that they get the reputation for it.
Trust me, I've gotten a few good things because of it.
For 1 gold? That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, so we can talk about Merchants Guild versus COF because I have a lot of people in Twitch chat who are filling me in on their experiences with it, and I think COF's awesome. So we can
that'll be a whole episode, I think.
That'll be the next 6 months, I'm sure. But we can talk about starter builds, we can talk about offline, we can talk about the games that we've been playing while we were waiting for LE61 error to go away for the servers. I started as I did a bunch of offline stuff, a little bit as a paladin with healing hands, and a bunch of stuff testing out various setups for Gathering Storm, which just got a bug fix. So real quick for Gathering Storm, there's a node that gives you base critical strike chance per Maelstrom, and I wanted to go crit because I wanted damage. So that was a kind of a hindrance, but I think Gathering Storm has a lot of promise to it. It's weird.
I agree.
I like the human form stuff. I like the proc stuff. It'll take some time to figure out what the best setups are, because there's some companion nodes in there. Do you want to be a Beastmaster? Do you want to use a Shaman? Do you want to be Storm Totem stuff? Do you want to indirect cast things? Do you want to be transformed maybe? But there's a lot of exciting stuff to explore with it, and it's going to be a while to figure out exactly what to do with Gathering Storm. But it's exciting, and I love it.
I theory crafted a version on YouTube, a Frostbite Tornado version with Shaman. You had 30 mana regen and shit, and 100 attunement and all that. And I've gotten multiple people, maybe 10, 15 people coming back to me and saying hey, this is good. So it seems as though the version I theory crafted is going really well with the Frostbite. Without Frostbite, without the boots, by the way, ironically, because you get enough pen anyways. So that's been interesting to see everyone come over to me hey,
and then you can actually have movement speed without looking for LP boots. It's really nice.
Exactly. It's really nice.
It's the one big downside of playing a Frostbite build is you kind of want to use snowdrifts, but they have no movement speed. So you need to get 1 LP and you need to get movement speed on them. That's as soon as you have 1 pair of snowdrift boots that have movement speed on them, you're oh man, look at all these builds I can play that won't frustrate me anymore. Yeah, that's great.
So what I did was I was going to league start a crit healing hands paladin with a smite for single target. And
so you all like spell damage, sure.
Yeah, we were going to utilize the divine bolts for clear and then smite for single target. But the problem ended up being that to get the divine bolts, you have to actually heal yourself and actually, take damage and heal yourself. So that means you either needed the sacrifice gloves where you take like damage per second to heal yourself, or you had to use a twisted heart or whatever. And that was really complicated when I was level 50. So we actually made a full swing, and I had to unlist my old video and I made make a new one. And I made a community post apologizing about it, but we made a full swing into electrify smite plus healing hands, and it is absolutely blasting. It is. I'm in love with the build. I never thought I'd ever be able to say the day that I'm playing a self-cast smite build and not being tongue in cheek, right? Like I'm actually playing a self-cast smite build and high corruption now without it being an actual joke.
Yeah, so 300 corruption, you said 350. 300 is the old 500. And 500 is that's non-trivial. That's kind of a lot of corruption.
300 is it's 300% more life and damage, right?
Yeah, it's the old 500 as a benchmark.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's really cool.
And yeah, the electrify. So if you don't know what's going on with that build, the main reason why that build works so well is because healing hands, when you hit with it, it spreads electrify on a target to 4 different enemies, and you can keep doing that with electrify. You can doing that with healing hands, and it averages out the electrify stacks on everybody. So you can end up with a rare with 100 electrify stacks with 2 casts of your smite, right? And that has been great, right? It's like Pathfinder Prolif from PoE, remember? Where all the Prolif would coalesce on one target, and that has been great. And the new the new base items, the dot mitigation items and the new base helmet, all of that, just absolutely amazing. Just
really, really good.
Really good. Oh my god, it's night and day difference. Literally night and day difference.
The new base items, when we were looking over them, we were talking about what the implicit values were. And then people started pointing out, hey, by the way, these things have a ton of fucking armor on them. Way more armor than they used to. The old belt, the best belt was 50 to 100 armor. Maybe, arguably, the best belt now is the Proletariat? Praetorian. Proletariat. The Praetorian, which goes up to 250 armor, which is over double what it used to be. It's a wild amount. And Sentinel, the Sentinel body armor?
So well, yeah.
The body armor with 700 armor on it?
Gloves.
Yeah. And the body armor
code. You can get 80% less damage taken from fizz dots and 60% less damage taken from other dots, right? It's gonna be insane. I only have 67% armor right now, and I can face tank dots now for the most part. It's nice.
That's huge. Damage over time used to be the one thing that we really complained about in terms of defenses, because there were so few ways to mitigate it. Block did nothing. Yeah, it's res. Res was literally res and life, right? No block, no dodge from glancing blows.
I'm only at 3.6k life, and I'm doing 300, the new 300 corruption it's nothing.
That's wild.
So it's great. Yeah, it's great. It's amazing.
Interesting. And electrifies
with a self-cast smite build, by the way.
When would you ever play self-cast smite? Are you Twisted Heart?
No. It's because I'm hitting with smite and the lightning bolts, applying electrify, and then healing hands hits after that, and then spreads those stacks. So I press once or twice, and the whole pack is dead. It's it's amazing. Right now, I'm at 350k ticks on the dummy as well. So the damage is also keeping up. So that's great.
I just deleted your camera there for a moment. I apologize.
That's okay. It's fine.
It's
been great.
You have a party going on in the background.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, one moment here.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, let me turn off my camera real quick while you explain
stuff. I'm gonna talk to Twitch chat. Hey, Twitch chat, how you doing? So, what else can we talk about? I feel there's so many things to say, but the loading screen. So roughly my experience on day one was sitting on my computer, just, applying copium to Twitch chat for about 6 hours while we were trying to load in the game, while we were playing offline, explaining to people that there's not actually a streamer queue, that I'm just playing offline, and that's why I'm able to be in the game right now. So once we calmed the fears of all the PoE exiles who were worried about a streamer queue existing, we were playing a couple things offline. I realized how garbage my gear is offline because I haven't logged in there for a while. But the healing hands idea that we outlined briefly there was a totally different direction than what Dread's been talking about, which is awesome. Like, healing hands is a wonderful skill. I'm actually surprised that they allowed it to have 100% proc rate off of casting smite or attacking with a melee thing. Normally, proc rates in Last Epoch don't go up to 100% chance. But
I think the smite one is fair because, like, you're self-casting smite. Let's be real.
Yeah, like the melee attack.
One, that's interesting.
That's wild to me.
My problem is, right. So this is something I've been saying, and I'm sure you've been seeing too. I think this is just the new standard. I think it's just the new standard.
I mean, it's good. Like, Warlock, I love it.
Like, that's just what they want, and I'm okay with that. Like, Sentinel being good for once and not a piece of shit. Like, Sentinel actually having EHP against dots and like, actually having skills to be used and like things that it actually does well, like stacking armor now. Like, I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm. And like armor being relevant against it. The difference that it makes having it apply to damage over time is awesome. It's such a big difference.
Imagine if you didn't have that and you had to deal with the stupid flamethrower cats.
You'd feel so dumb for building so much armor.
Yeah, it's amazing now.
What else? So you are a hater when it comes to Tempest Strike.
So I think the new Tempest Strike is interesting. I think it has some uses for it. I just think that if you're trying to do like the spell damage oriented Tempest Strike, it's just going to be awful. It's awful. Like spell damage, but there are other ways of using it.
So we did a little bit of exploring with Tempest Strike, and a lot of how we segued into Tempest Strike came from Gathering Storm, because like I was playing Shaman, I was trying Gathering Storm stuff, and people were saying, hey, like you could use like a Generator Spender setup for Gathering Storm, because I was attacking in melee form, in human form. Yeah. And you can build Gathering Storm stacks, and then you can kind of like discharge them, so to speak, with a Tempest Strike with all of your Tempest disabled. So you get giga attack speed. Yeah, and so you're just like, spend them all. And it's like, it's pretty cool. There's a node in Tempest Strike that also gives you stacking flat spell damage per attack that you've done recently. And you can get like 80 or 100 flat spell damage. And like all of those are getting applied to your...
So
whatever spell you're discharging.
It's version of a build that I plan on playing, by the way. It's my build, by the way. I put copyright on it, so you can't steal it. But I'm teasing, but still. But the idea is you use the node inside Tempest Strike, inside Gathering Storm, that gives you a 40% chance on minion hit to give you a storm stack. And then you spam totems, right? With the thorn totems, with the attack speed or cast speed or whatever. And then you just put them out there. They hit the target. They have a 40% chance, and then use Tempest Strike to expend those stacks with attack speed, right? And then the idea is to get your minions to give you so many stacks per second to match your Tempest Strike attack speed, so that you can just like hold down Tempest Strike.
You just if you ever go down to 0, the loop stops.
What do you mean the loop stops?
You need to have at least one storm stack in order for your minions to give you storm stacks.
Oh, you're right. Actually.
Yeah, it means that you can't do it. You can't use that technology in a transform state, because you can only generate storm stacks outside of a transform state. But it's a good idea though. It's not a bad idea. It's garbage. No, I think it's worth exploring. Another idea that I came up with. That I already have the NFT for it. Please don't copy this. You can send money to me if you'd like to play this build. But of course, on a tier list that came out before Last Epoch 1.0 existed, they recommended it was like a B tier build. I think they put it as, because they already tested the relative strength of all builds and put them on a tier list before we can play them. It was Tempest Strike plus Spell EQ, and that sounds awesome, doesn't it? Tempest Strike giving us like a stacking flat spell damage. And like it also works as a mana generator, and then like your big spell EQ.
My problem with that build is like you could just use swipe and get the double crit multi, and also as well the more damage from swipe. So I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that specific build, because you could just do the same thing with swipe but get like
but EQ is a huge effectiveness of added damage to it.
It does. That is correct. Well, if you do the spell version, they were doing the melee version.
Yeah.
I think the spell version could be interesting. With
so maybe like melee you go swipe, spell you go Tempest Strike. Okay, could be interesting.
Something like that. It's just like swipe is just so good. It's hard to compete with it, you know?
I have some builds that I want to try for Tempest Strike that are actually just going to require like 26 or 27 levels in it.
If you were playing swipe with the dual wield thing, running the set, the health regen set, and then doing
Shard of the Shadowland, sure.
Yeah, but with Earthquake instead, with Melee Cold. Like, imagine how much damage that's going to do. That's something I want to do eventually. Obviously, this is a build you could have played before, but still.
But the fact that we even have options now, like,
yeah,
every single build needs to reevaluate whether using Smite or Gathering Storm or Tempest Strike. That's wonderful.
There might be a build that either plays Bleed or it plays like some kind of ailment with Tempest Strike, and you just go for as much attack speed as possible, like the old Serpent Strike builds. That might be a thing.
Fuck! That's wait!
That's a lot of attack.
Bleed. That might be the solution to the build that I was brainstorming. So I mentioned a second ago that there was a build that I wanted to play that needed like 26 or 27 levels to it, and like if you get a +4 chest piece to Tempest Strike, you gotta try Tempest Strike turning off the Elemental Tempest.
Are you getting a +4? Just
use your chest piece.
Oh no! The stupid Elemental Nova chest. It's class specific. It would have been perfect.
Oh, that's funny. No, just like +4 tier 7 Tempest Strike. You'll find it eventually.
That would have been so much fun though.
But no, I want to proc as many tornadoes as possible, because like whenever you proc a tornado, you can also proc the tornado skill tree, and like maybe Bleed's the answer. Like I kind of want to go like physical damage over time.
Everything go together, right? That's the idea.
But like you really need a lot of plus levels to it. Plus levels in Tempest Strike is going to be like a high priority.
As soon as I saw Tempest Strike, right, and we talked about this in the last podcast, I didn't upload because I was busy. And
it no longer exists. Okay.
The problem with the Tempest Strike is like you have 3 different spells, and even if you turn off one of them, right? Even if you turn off one of them or 2 of them, you still have to go through the animation of the other 2.
But it's so fast.
It is so fast, but the problem becomes like, is a 1 in 3 attack with a random spell you cast from Tempest Strike, is that actually going to do enough damage, like to actually function? Like,
maybe if you're an ailment build, then you can like your like melee attack speed is applying an ailment as well.
Turn off the tornado, maybe. And then you just go with the other 2, but then at the same time, you might want the tornado because you can turn on a tornado with the tornado, right?
If you have enough plus levels to it, absolutely.
Yeah, like so. And then maybe you could do a version where you just don't turn it off and you just go with the chances to trigger extra. Maybe that version is fine, but then you'd have to get generic elemental penetration, generic spell damage, which the skill gives you, by the way. So I think there's going to be a lot of different ways. I'm going to try. When I play a Beastmaster, next time I level a Beastmaster.
Yeah, Beastmaster, Shark, Crit, Aspect of the Lynx.
I'm going to play the stupid Tempest Strike build where you get the 40% in each thing and see if I can make it work. We'll see if it's actually good.
I love it. I think writing off Tempest Strike too early would be a big mistake.
We might turn off the tornado though.
Because you want to go crit at that point, yeah.
Yeah, but like we might keep it on. We might keep it off. It depends. Because like you can turn proc tornado.
Well, each one gives a minus mana cost for the attack as well. And like the mana cost is going to be an issue if you don't turn anything off.
That one, yeah, exactly. I think Shaman is the problem. What?
I don't think Shaman's the problem at all.
Shaman's insane now. Like,
I don't know about insane.
I have to forgive Mr. Shaman, okay? Because I was shit talking it. But with the new skill tree, Shaman actually looks sick and dope.
Shaman has like 2 nodes that got changed.
Okay. Not only did it get an 8, the thing is that's all it needed because it has 8% less damage taken. It has 60% increased mana regen for free because of the new attunement node, right? That's a lot, by the way. That's less affixes you have to put on your gear, right? Because your attunement stacking anyways for other reasons.
I would still like to see a number of buffs to Shaman.
I agree, but at the same time, then you have the spell damage % nodes per totem, and then or you have the melee one. Like I think right now, as it currently stands, Shaman is no longer just complete and utter garbage.
Oh,
it is on the same level as like I would put like Void Knight, where like you can play
I think Void Knight's way better, by the way. Hold on. Let's pause for a second.
Low
Void
Life
Knight's
Shaman's
way
really
better
good,
than Shaman.
man. What do you mean? Well, you could play Low Life Shaman, right? With the totem stuff and the res. Like, I think Low Life Shaman's pretty good. You're still playing a Primalist, you still have aspect of the boar, right?
That's true. You still have to pay your 23-point tax.
Like, I think that's better than Void Knight right now.
But you're talking about things outside of Shaman, like the Shaman mastery, and the Shaman skills. I think are just like.
The Shaman skill, like other than Tornado, the Shaman skills suck.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like
Earthquake is great, but it's not Shaman.
Avalanche doesn't exist.
If Avalanche shifted with Earthquake, it would be a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Now that would piss off a lot of people, and it would also fuck up Boulder's Wrath. So maybe they don't do that. But like,
I have a hot take for you, and I want to share this real quick. We've been talking about Shaman being like exciting, and I basically league started a Shaman because I was playing stuff offline. I played a little bit of stuff online too.
Yeah.
Is our hot take that we came up with that I want to run by you is Marksman the worst class?
I'll have to play the Blast Rain first before I can say that.
It's real squishy.
No, Forge Guard's worse than Marksman.
You think Forge Guard's worse?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It's got defenses. But
Marksman has access to Shadow Daggers. You could literally play Shadow Dagger Marksman with Smoke Bomb with the new Traversal Smoke Bomb.
Okay.
You got to remember, like we're comparing Forge Guard to Shadow Daggers here, right?
Well, there's not really a Shadow Dagger bow build. There's like one that you put together. I know you put one together.
But if we're just talking about generic power. Right, just generic power. Just was literally just like
Twitch chat understands. So let me explain more.
Yeah,
the first half of the skill tree. The first half of the skill tree for Paladin and for Void Knight, and the other skills that you get to spec into, you get access to a lot of things as a Forge Guard. Like
but isn't that the same thing? That,
it's not though.
Falconer?
No, because look at Blade Dancer. There's almost no overlap between what a Marksman would do and what a Blade Dancer would do.
I mean,
there's nothing.
Like I said, you also get access to the skills too, right?
What skills though? Shadow Cascade?
Access to Umbral Blades.
Umbral Blades is base.
Yeah. Which means Marksman has access to it.
It's a fucking bow skill. Oh my god.
But it's that strong that it doesn't matter. I'm being serious. It's just because if Marksman for some reason didn't have access to any of that, it would be. If you were
doing a Shadow Dagger build, you'd rather just not be a Marksman.
Yeah, but if you were doing a Forge Guard build, you'd rather just not be a Forge Guard.
Okay. We're arguing over okay. Are they close enough that it's an argument?
No.
I think it is close enough that it's an argument. I think Marksman is real.
I think you can play Jokor's Explosive Trap Marksman, and that could blow past any other any Forge Guard build instantly, right? Even now with all of the flat that you get for the minion affixes, you don't even play the stupid Manifest Armor build on Forge Guard anymore. You don't even play it on. You play it on Paladin, right? So Forge Guard just got everything it was good at just stripped away from it. It's gone. It's dead. I think.
It's got healing hands. It's got channel healing hands.
Let's just for reference, right? Let's just compare the mastery skills, right? What does Forge Guard get? It gets Forge Strike, right?
Okay, Forge Strike. You can scale your minion duration and then consume the minion duration and turn it into more armor, more damage on Rise.
But what does Marksman get access to?
Detonating nothing.
Hail of arrows at the top of the tree is one of the stronger skills in the entire video game.
Wait. You're comparing the wrong skills though.
I mean, detonating arrow is still a really strong skill with Drillcores now. Have you tried the explosive?
That's a melee. Okay.
Yeah, but
you're right. All right.
Yeah. Who cares? Yeah.
I think there's an argument. Hail of Arrows is literally the only Marksman skill. Yeah. Listen, I think there's an argument to be made that Marksman might be the bottom of the barrel. Maybe second to the bottom of the barrel.
I still think Forge Guard is still at the bottom of the barrel by far. It's multiple magnitudes worse than Marksman because I can look at a Marksman and enjoy my time. I don't enjoy my time on Forge Guard. It feels like a punishment. It feels like I'm being sent there to like work in the mine. Like it's like the only time I actually enjoy Forge Guard is when I'm playing Smelter's Wrath.
Yeah,
that's the only time, because I like Smelter's Wrath, not because Smelter's Wrath is good.
Which one would you rather see get dev time to get updated sooner? Marksman, Forge Guard, or Sork?
Forge Guard.
Forge Guard?
Just Forge Guard. It needs to, like, it got reworked years ago and it's fallen out of favor so hard. It's so Sork. At least Sork, you can play Sork and like.
At least you play Glacier.
You're worse. Like you're a worse Rune Master, but at least a worse Rune Master is 20 times better than a Forge Guard.
Sork is very good. I kind of did this as a joke.
Really good, right?
I kind of did this as a joke, but in my video that I put out for starter builds for people playing, I didn't recommend a Sork build. I was like, Sork's fine. The power level of Sork is totally appropriate. But it's boring. Why would you do it? It's boring. Why would a new player look at
the only reason to play Sork now is you can like essentially do that meteor trick I talked about.
Yeah.
That's like the only thing Sork has going.
Or like maybe it has ignite duration in its skill tree.
Yeah. It has like
access to black hole.
Mana. You get like an extra 30 mana per second as Sork, essentially, if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially what you get as Sork, which turns out is pretty good, but turns out Rune Master is pretty fucking good too.
I was thinking about the fantasy of like someone looking at like these classes, like Blade Dancer, you're jumping around, you're like a ninja, that's really cool. I want to play Zed and Riven from League of Legends. Or like Marksman, I want to use a bow, or like, I want to play.
I think Marksman, I feel like people don't understand that like the problem with Marksman was like, I can't fucking even pull up the planner because it's dead right now. I guess I'll go to this one instead, one moment. But the problem with Marksman was it was the same thing like Lich, where like it just didn't have any synergy with the second half, like the bottom half of Necromancer.
Yeah, totally agree.
But now Falconer, like if you go look at Falconer's passives, right? There's a node in Falconer's passives. Where is it? Where is it? I gotta find it. There is 60 HP. That's a good start because Marksman's never got any HP, right? Maximum health gained is endurance threshold, 15%.
If you haven't been hit recently,
yeah. Exist.
Good.
Yep. Good. And that's really good for bosses. You get like, where is it? You get the increased dodge rating here, like that's in mana regen. That's like okay, and then you get like.
Are you looking for the percent increased bow damage node? Yeah, Pog, dude. That's awesome.
The main thing that's actually good, like I'll be honest, it's just the 80 life from Wilderness Scout.
It's just the life.
I'm being serious.
I know you're being serious.
Like that's that plus the Shroud of Dusk, like that's enough.
So I mean, you're calling out the defenses. I used to say that the only quiver that existed for Marksman was Arrow Guard.
Yeah.
And now they nerfed Arrow Guard again. You have even less Cleansing Blow chance.
I don't know why.
That's wild. Why did they do
that? Yeah. Like maybe they want to give us more ways of. Like, they really want us to cap our Glancing Blow with like the fucking Dust Shroud stacks. I don't realize that like the Dust Shroud stacks are so inconsistent.
Yeah. Falconer can do it. Falconer's got good stuff, but man, like when it comes to a Marksman, it wasn't like Arrow Guard is the best quiver and it's the only quiver that exists because it's so much better than everything else. It's because everything else sucks and you have no defenses and you need defenses.
Yeah. Like compare it to like Zuriel's Hunt, right? And Singwing Horde,
unique quivers are really bad.
Like, you might literally just end up using a fucking Singwing Horde, not because it has stats on it, but because it has 60 HP on it.
Yeah.
You literally might just use it because of that. Like that's how. But the thing is, all of those issues pale in comparison to all the issues I always have when I play a Forge Guard. like it's like that's like my problem with this discussion is like when I play a Marksman, my only problem with Marksman is damage over time.
What skills are you using as a Marksman?
Hail of Arrows.
I mean,
Hail of Arrows is a strong skill.
It is, and I like Hail of Arrows, but like
Hail of Arrows is like 20 times better than the other two.
Hail of Arrows, I rate Hail of Arrows as like an
Traversal Smoke Bomb buffed it a lot. Like,
I rate Hail of Arrows as like A tier. Not like, it's a fair build, but it's one of the best fair builds in the game.
Yeah, like I like it, and like and I'm not even being biased. I'm just being serious.
Yeah.
Like, Hail Rares is a good skill.
Okay, so
And
what's the next build after that?
You have the Blast Rain too. You have like the explosive trap stuff. Like that has a lot of good synergy with Marksman. Like that's really cool. You could play it on a Falconer, but like it's still a buff to Marksman, right? That skill is still an objective buff to Marksman because it is a better way of playing multi-shot Marksman. I mean, with like it's a better way of playing Marksman with the Reign of Winter or like whatever, right?
I think multi-shots. I think multi-shots probably the number 2 build.
Yeah, like and multi-shot is like a fine build.
It's good.
Like it's good enough. Like for instance, I was just playing a bleed multi-shot build like a while back, like before this patch, and I was getting to like 200, 300k ticks without like too much investment. And now with Merchant's Guild, I could do way better, right? But like that wasn't that bad. Like I think Marksman is a bad skill tree in terms of defenses and because of like, you know, because you're using a bow, but it's the same kind of problem that like using a two-handed weapon is, right? Where you're like, you just don't have that many defenses anyways, right? And I think a Forge Guard two-handed build is significantly worse than a bow Marksman because at least with a bow like the reason
at least you have
Marksman
range or what?
Fine, yeah, range.
Okay.
That's it. That's the problem. Is like range, right? Like that's the problem. And Forge Guard just doesn't get benefited for being in the face of enemies enough. It's not like at least Marksman is good at one thing and one thing only. It's good at being a bow build, right? That's what it's good at doing. Forge Guard isn't good at doing anything. Like
let me use this as a way to transition. If we keep ragging on things that are bad in the game, we're gonna be here all day.
You're good.
Which I like, but
yeah.
So we're talking about bottom of the barrel things, and I'm trying to make arguments for things being bad because I like stirring the pot. But what? So Forge Guard will be reworked someday. There's no way that it won't be.
Yeah.
It's so scattered, and people meme on it all the time, and that brings a lot of attention to it. Is there a chance that we see a reworked Forge Guard focusing on the brand new defensive stat that should every single build should be building this?
Parry would be insane.
Yeah, let's get like a Parry sub-theme defense for Forge Guard. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Parry shilling Parry. What a Parry shilling Parry. Wonderful.
And then Forge Guard already has ways to mitigate the damage over time portion that Parry lacks. Yeah. So you could like build like the potion stuff, keep the potion stuff in there. You get armor applies to damage over time, and then Parry mitigates hits, and then you're not building block because you're using two-handers. Take the block off of Forge Guard. Make
the block make that node instead of block while wielding a shield, make it
block while two-handed.
Parry chance per dex while wielding a two-handers.
Yes. Oh. You want a new job? EHG, hire this man.
No, don't. I am too busy as it is.
Don't hire this man. But I like it. I like the idea a lot.
Yeah, like that would be fine. I like that.
Do you have the text of what Parry does right in front of you? It's like it's just like 100% less damage taken, right?
Yeah.
Or 100% reduced. Like you take 0 damage.
Yeah, you take 0 damage, but it still counts as a hit, so you can do retaliate stuff still. So like for instance, that stupid retaliate build with like the chest gets buffed by this technically.
So Parry chance rolls as a prefix on weapons, which is weird because generally speaking, your weapons are there to deal damage and you want to hit people with them. You could build it
the minion version.
You could build it as a minion, yeah. So like 20% parry chance is like that. I think it's the highest you can get.
So important
on a weapon on a minion build.
Like on those because they use your weapon, right? I guess.
You mean forged weapons? Yeah, forged weapons. Sure.
Yeah, I guess your minions get the parry chance. I guess that's interesting. Huh.
Wait a minute. Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah, they should, unless it's bugged, which
it could very well be bugged. But that is interesting because like forged weapons do have an issue with survivability, and giving them parry chance could be cool. I think Forge Guard will be a natural home for parry chance, and like parry kind of sucks right now. Everyone knows parry sucks. Why
when they said there's no way of capping parry.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. It's kind of garbage right now. Parry's not great, but in the future, I hope Parry shows a lot of potential.
When they buff Parry, I hope that they buff dodge at the same time.
Yeah, I could see that too.
For non-rogues, by the way.
Yeah.
And maybe non-Serpent Strike users.
You talked about a two-handed melee Forge Guard not having the same defenses as a Marksman just because Marksman is range. And then you can't really quantify range. Like you can't write that down in an EHP calculation. But like when it comes to two-handers, all of my two-hander builds use Titan Heart because you just get a 2 LP Titan Heart. You put life plus whatever your offensive stat is, and that's your payoff for getting to play a two-hander build. And like Arrow Guard kind of had the same problem. Like you're playing a bow build, you're playing Arrow Guard. You're playing a two-hander build, like you play this. We need more options. It's not the Titan Heart is not OP. I guarantee you Titan Heart's not OP.
It is not OP at all.
But
it's fine.
It's the option
it's HP based. It can't be OP.
It's the option that exists. So it'd be nice to have other options that exist instead, so that we have opportunity costs. Opportunity costs.
I like Parry in the game. We can talk about you've been playing Warlock, right? How's that been?
Smooth sailing, calm seas, excellent, hard to mess up.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. I haven't messed with it much, but I've been seeing things around. I saw the 20k ward build. I saw all the other shenaniganry.
What's the 20k ward stuff? I haven't seen that.
Oh, so that was the bleed Warlock setup that Lizard was playing. It was like ridiculous.
Sure, great.
Yeah, it was like stupid. Yeah.
I thought he was playing a Lich though, isn't he?
No, it was when he was showcasing it offline. I mean, he was showcasing it like before the patch launched.
Good.
He was like showing it off.
Yeah.
I still feel so weird about that stuff.
I know.
Like showcasing builds and build guides and tier lists before the patch launches. It still just feels like such a weird choice that they made.
I think in the end, I've thought about this for a while, and my opinion about it is mainly just like, as someone who has no business talking about this, by the way.
Go on.
You know. But I think like even Mike didn't know, right? Other people in EHG did know, but Mike didn't know about like the Gathering Storm and the Healing Hands tree being like in the planner the day before or whatever, or like earlier or whatever, right? Even Mike didn't know that. I'm like, well, if they're gonna do this in the future, like I would hope that they would at least tell Mike, like poor Mike. But like I think with all the thing that happened around Warlock and all that stuff, I think in the future they're going to at least like, I think it's EHG's fault in this regard, by the way. I think Maxwell's just doing their job. They're doing like they were well in their right to do it.
They generated a ton of hype. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was their job. I think it's more like on EHG to like make more solid like lines and conditions and stuff. They don't want that to happen. Now, if they want it to happen, then it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, right? But as well, like, you know, people like I don't really care. Like, let's be real. I give two shits. By the way, I just really don't care. I'm playing the game now. Who gives a shit, right? But a lot of people didn't like it, so that's up to EHG's decision.
I'm going to pivot off this topic because, again, it's another one that we could sit here for literal hours and discuss. We might do that offline, but I think for the podcast, we can move on to something else. I want to talk about a little bit for Merchant Guild versus
we can talk about
versus COF.
I can talk about my experience with
so when did you get your faction? What was your experience there?
What did I do? I rushed to Empowered Monos, and then I used the Temporal Sanctum key to skip to Majelka, and then got my Merchant's Guild, and then I walked into one Empowered Mono, and I got like 3 reputation levels instantly. So it is, in my humble opinion, the meta is still push to Empowereds first, then get a Temporal Sanctum key, and then go into Monos. Because the reputation gain that you get from in normal Monos is not worth the pain of walking through the fucking campaign.
Like doing Chapter 7, doing all of Chapter 8, doing Chapter 9 as well.
Yep. Because you get way better buffs and way better gear by just doing monoliths, right? And then skipping later when you get a Temporal Sanctum key, which are not rare, by the way, by that time.
So I had a similar experience at the very beginning, but like I was like level 65 or so. I was doing normal monoliths. I dropped a Temporal Sanctum key, did the skip, did it, and then I kept going.
Yep.
And I it felt like maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes, and I was also level 3 in my reputation.
Yeah, it was just like, I'll be honest, like it's not worth doing the campaign still. It did not fix that problem at all. But
so did you find yourself like buying stuff immediately? Like what were you looking for? Like movement speed boots?
Nope. I didn't need to do anything until I got to like reputation like 3 or whatever, when I was able to buy a bleeding heart. And then I apparently had been so far into the game at that point versus other people that when I looked in MG, Tenki and I looked it over together at the time, and there was just nothing. It was a complete ghost town. But that's because of the reveal shenanigans, right? Obviously. And as soon as I went to sleep and woke up, I was like, wait a second, there's actually a market here, and it was somewhat decent. And then what I did was I bought like an exalted weapon, like with cast speed. I bought like an Aurelis to buff my build. Like I did a few things to buy. I did a bunch of selling and I got my reputation up and all that. And then it took me all the way from that point, which was like 100 corruption, to get to 300 corruption, just to have the right, just to have the right to be able to buy exalted items. And that was what I was assuming to be the giant power boost. That's how MG like catches up with COF a little bit, because before that it's garbage. COF is better early, right? But then as soon as I got that power boost, it was like insane. Like I got like, it was like 2k armor, like crit avoid cap from no crit avoid cap. I got like so much extra damage. I got like a 2 LP like Aurelis with better rolls. I got 2 new rings. I got the new armor dot mitigation bases. Like all that combined took me from somewhat struggling in 300 corruption to being like, not even a
it's like dumpster.
Yeah, like whatever, right? And I think that's the thing. COF is really good, especially early on from what I heard. But then as soon as MG, you get to like 7 and you actually get to buy items that are actually worth your time, that's when like it starts catching up a lot.
So you're at Merchant's Guild level 7, you're buying exalted items. What's the price tag that people are doing right now? Is it like 100 gold, like 10,000 gold?
I think around the average is like 100K. It could be cheaper, more.
So my stash tabs right now, I bought like 10 stash tabs and they cost like 100,000 gold at this point.
That's like one item.
Gotcha.
And like I've been selling like Twisted Hearts for like 500K each. It depends on the rolls, right? And like I bought like 2
for 500K for 500,000 gold.
And I've been buying 2 2LP ladles at like 50K a pop for some reason.
Cool.
It was
all right, sure. Wow.
Whatever. Yeah. To be honest, the gold isn't the problem. It's the favor.
Really?
It's the favor. Yeah. Like not having enough favor to do things, and reputation. It's the reputation grind. Because as soon as you get to the reputation, like for instance, as soon as I get right to the end where I can like actually buy LP uniques, that's when like all of them, like bleeding hearts, stuff like that. That's when it's gonna get really stupid. Yeah. And I think like it might have legs versus COF. And the way I explain it before I end here, before I give it over to you, the way I explain it is right now, it seems like as though when you play MG, your gear is all going to be good on average. Your idols are going to be good. Your gear is going to be good. Nothing is going to be straight out pog tier amazing unless you get a lucky drop, right? But they're all going to at least be average good. More average, like in higher average than like with COF.
I believe that.
COF, you're going to be playing Falcon, right? Falcon or whatever, you're gonna drop like a 3 LP bow or some shit, and you're gonna have really strong items and really bad items. So like for instance, you might have a 3 LP bow and like a double exalted ring or something like that, but then I look at your idols and they're literally gonna be floor trash.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the biggest benefits of MG is
the idols.
Good idols is a complete joke. Getting good idols, like I've been selling like my idols for like 100K each, like double HP idols or like a few 100K, like those were rare. Like how many double HP idols did you have before? Like
I have 0 right now.
Patch.
Yeah,
the last patch.
Small handful.
I have
like
five,
the 5% ones.
I have 5 well-rolled ones.
Yeah, well-rolled is a big difference.
Yeah, I have 5 well-rolled ones already because I've been buying them. Because the biggest problem, not exactly 530, but like I've been getting a bunch of them, right? And the problem is like it's getting to that point is the problem. It takes a while. You're playing like non-COF gameplay, you're like playing COF but worse up until you get to that point, which is the main struggle, right? So that's my opinion on it. It's like I think COF is really big and bursty, while MG is just on average good. It's like
I'm glad to hear that you have such a good opinion of Merchant's Guild. I was worried that COF was gonna be like Pog Champion.
So I mean, if you ask me, like the end of day one, I'd be like, it's absolutely fucking garbage. Like we chose a perfect time for this because the market had enough time to exist now.
Okay.
But I do run into the problem where sometimes the item I want to buy doesn't exist. So like that will happen right now, at least. I don't know in the future, obviously, but like right now. So it's definitely not a one-sided show. It's more like a holy fucking crap, I need to like MG is like heavy weighted at the end. It's like you get a bunch of random stuff in the beginning that are like meh, but then like as soon as you get to the end, it's like now I can keep up with these COF nerds, right? But I still think COF is still better if you plan on playing for 3 months. Like in the end, because like you're gonna get so many drops, you're gonna be able to play so many different builds because of it. But like MG definitely has legs. We'll see how long it lasts, right?
Do you still feel as though that there's something lacking in the comparison between Merchant's Guild and COF with the prophecy system? Like COF has prophecies and there's nothing on paper that looks like Merchant's Guild has.
I think it's fine for now. I think the only reason it feels bad right now is because of the lack of content in general the game has. So if the game had more content, like for instance, like if I had more things like exiled mages to go kill and get LP ladles or stuff to sell or experimental items to sell, then like it would feel much less worse right now. Like for instance, target farming like Heart of Old Curioses, right, and selling them for a pop, right, every so often. That is the content that you get for being MG. Because the idea with MG is you get to literally do whatever the fuck you want as long as it's like profitable. While with COF, you constantly have to like be like, oh, now I gotta go like kill like Leath in the campaign. Oh, now I gotta go doing this dungeon, like that, right? You have to like go to that specific place and stop the gameplay. While MG is just like, I want to play like PoE. I want to play, push corruption in one thing, and like just sell, like and buy everything I don't get, right? Stuff like that. Well, like COF is like, I'm gonna go have fun over here for a little bit, and then we'll come back here. Oh, I'm gonna go have fun over here, and oh my
the COF
god,
nerds having fun. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, you can go. I'm gonna let you talk real quick, but I have a really big thing to talk about after.
Sure. So the experiences that I've heard from other people about COF is that it's just like S tier. It's like it's really fun to have all these like 2 LP, 3 LP items that are dropping on the ground already, doubled and triple exalted items. It feels like it's just like a loot pinata of all these things that you're able to find. It's random. You're not really target farming exalted items. You're not target farming idols. You're just getting a bunch of stuff. And if you're willing to like
purple rain,
if you're willing to, you know, read those items, pick them up off the ground, buy some stash tabs, so like, you know, have more builds for later. And like it's so far it's a lot of fun. And I don't like the idea of going back to the prophecy plays to like pick on the prophecies. I wish I could do that from my like hideout, so to speak.
That's bad. I have to go back to the Merchant's Guild every single time I want to interact with it.
Yeah, that is rough, isn't it?
Way worse than COF in that regard. But you also have to like go into parts of the campaign and shit like that to like do, you know, like so.
So I haven't done many prophecies yet, and like I accidentally clicked on one that was like a tier 4 Arena of Champions, and I just deleted it.
Some of them.
I was like, I'm not gonna do tier 4 Arena of Champions.
Prophecies are insane. I can definitely guarantee you.
I've heard some people like clicking on their prophecies, like stacking them up, so like they only like boss kill, and they kill a boss, and it's like all the things all pop at the same time, and that sounds
there's been some
wonderful. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it is a lot of fun, and it's funny that You can do that with the idol drops and still have worse idols than someone playing MG.
Because you can buy exactly what you want. Like idols, idols are tricky.
My next build, I'm gonna play the Tornado Frostbite Shaman, right?
Yeah.
Like that people are talking about, and I made a video for. I already have my best in slot idols for that build.
Are they max roll too?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been investing in the future.
That's so pretty good. Investing in the future for Merchant's Guild.
Yeah. Well, you have to, because you have to spend your favor. So it's like, well, my current build, I want exalted items, but I can't like buy anything for it until later. But I need to buy things to get to that point. So I'm like, okay, all right, I'm just gonna buy stuff for later. I'm gonna buy like I bought like 10 double HP idols in a row. I was like, okay, let's spend this fucking favor. By the way, that's insanely inefficient for favor spending, because we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah. But the thing I wanted to talk about, that is the biggest thing that I'm so excited to talk about, is effectively, as it currently stands, objective rushing in the old way is dead. It is dead. Because to get favor, you have to kill enemies. So if you want to interact with COF, which is really good, by the way, or if you want to interact with Merchant's Guild, which is also really good, by the way, you have to kill enemies. You will get cock blocked by favor if you just try to like objective rush like before, right? So if you're the kind of person that was just putting movement speed, forcing objective, stuff like that.
And like running past enemies.
Yep.
Sure.
And you will not have a good time, because you won't be interacting with the like prophecies. Will be like, I don't have enough favor to buy these things. You're not progressing as well, because you need favor to progress.
Yeah, interesting,
right?
interesting.
So now what they did was they made it so, remember how I always say like killing monsters doesn't do anything? Remember that? Well, now it does something, just in an indirect way, which I'm completely fine with, by the way, right? I'm completely fine with you. Well, it kills trash while I run. Well, that's what I mean. Is like, that's the build you play now. You don't play a build where you just ignore everything and you movement speed everything, right? Now you play something that kills stuff on the way, and it feels nowhere near as bad as me. Like, for instance, if I'm walking in the mono and I'm like doing corruption, right? Pushing, and I like double click on a pack of like a big pack of monsters, I get favor for that. It feels no longer bad to do that anymore. Even if they didn't drop anything, well, I got favor, right? And corruption scales favor.
That's a good change. Okay, good.
That is insane. That means like whenever I've been pushing corruption, I'm like, oh wow, I'm getting way more favor faster. Now I might taper off at the end, like the LP stuff, but still. Also, the gold change for corruption is so good. Now we're dealing with numbers like because we're dealing with numbers like 1 million gold instead of like 10 million gold, right?
So the gold change you mean is that gold no longer scales with how high corruption you are. So you're generating less gold on average. So that's like people, like the prices are smaller, like you're generating less gold. You're not like
it's so
just good because the numbers are smaller and easier to wrap your mind around,
like,
or what?
Yeah, have you ever played Diablo? Like, you haven't played Diablo 4, but like Diablo 4 and Diablo 3 have this problem, and and economies in general, where they get this just inflation of numbers in general. So like, for instance, you play Diablo 4 and you start out, it's like, oh, I hit for 17 damage, right? But then like in the end game, you're like 55 trillion, and it's just absolutely absurd, right? Like, how can I wrap my mind around these numbers, right? But with the Merchant's Guild so far, it's been like a good item right now is like 100k gold. A decent item is 50k. And then like a poggers tier, like for instance, my chest, let me link it in chat here. Let me find it. I gotta pull up the planner. Hopefully it's working. You can talk about it more if you want while I pull this up, because I want to give this as an example. That's if the planner actually, okay, I might have to go in game. Because fucking LE planner is down again. No,
people in Twitch chat live are asking what the gold sinks are in last Epoch right now. Like there's 2.5 gold sinks, right?
There's dungeon and the what is it called? There's dungeon and the fucking stash depths. Now
and there's faction gambler, if you want to call that a half.
Yeah. Now the gold sink might end up being a problem, but right now it's not a problem, because no matter how much gold you have, no matter how much you spend or gain, you were always limited by favor. So for instance, what happens is like, how much gold would I be willing to spend this favor for? So like you end up in this point where it's like, oh my god, I'm in a queue. Oh no. Okay, my chest is like on a good base. It has decent mods. It has like T7 strength and like HP, armor percent, and like vitality on it. Okay, and it's on the good base. I just logged in, but yeah, it's like on the good base, right? That was 700k gold to buy. That was my best in slot chest for now, right? It wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst. It was like 700k gold, and it was what I wanted, right? And I crafted on it and all that.
Holy moly! All right,
like, so that is like around where. But I've been buying like 2 LPL relics for 50k gold, right?
Right.
So it's just like
the prices don't seem standardized. They're all over the place.
All over the place right now. But like, I think that's fine right now. It's the thrill of the market. That's like the good thing about the market.
Do you find yourself sitting in the market hitting refresh?
Nope.
No.
I'm playing the game because I need favor. If I want to do things, I need favor. Essentially, like it's like trading, but if you had to like kill monsters to get trade tokens. And I like that part.
I like it. Okay. Mind. You're still incentivized to play the game. You feel like the thing that's limiting you is the reputation, not the gold?
The reputation and favor will be the things that limit you in the end.
Okay.
If you're not playing, you will not have favor and you can't and I'm okay with that. But there will come a time in the future, probably, that the gold sync thing will start to become a problem. But what happens is, right? I think what's going to happen is, like, just in general, is when you start getting a bunch of gold in the market, okay? Let's say things are selling for absurd gold because everyone has a bunch of gold, right? It might actually end up being good to go into the Lightless Arbor and try to buy and try to roll things because, like I said, it's more about the favor than the gold. So
if you have too much gold, you might as well go spend it.
Yeah, you might as well go spend it. Like, you're going to end up in a time where you have so much gold and nothing to spend it on because you're going to run out of favor constantly. Because if you don't know how it currently works, is like in the end game, when you get to the Merchant's Guild, listing an item depends solely on its LP, its rarity, its like tier of affixes, all of those things, right? Those things matter. So like, for instance, a 4 LP Ravenous Void is going to cost 5 bajillion favor to buy. And at that point, it doesn't matter what gold cost you put on it because it's going to take you forever to do it anyways. You can't buy favor, but you can go kill for favor, right? But you can turn all that extra gold that is essentially becoming worthless at this point, right? Because favor matters more for the good items, right? Because it just becomes a nonsensical, like, whatever. You just go to the Lightless Arbor and be like, I want a bunch of Glyphs of Despair. Or I want to like try to gamble for like LP uniques, stuff like that, right? For items that you want. And I think that's what will end up happening. But I don't know if the cycle will be long enough for that to happen or like, but I feel like as though we're going to run into an issue where like all the items on the market are going to cost a bunch of gold. But then when you like, it's weird. I don't know. Like, I don't know how it's going to feel. I'm hoping that it's fine. It's just like we might end up in a part where, like, imagine if someone starts the season in like a month, right? Okay. And they want to play MG and they start playing MG, right? And then the item that they want that would have been 100k gold day one is now like 10 million gold because I need the value from my favor, right? I care about my favor than my gold. So if I post this up, I want a decent amount of gold, right? So essentially, what's going to happen?
But there's going to be so many items in the market at that point, right?
Yeah, it's going to be, yeah. But like in general, it depends on what item it is. But what's going to happen is, what do I want more? What do I value more? How many Lightless Arbor runs is this item worth?
That's a good
essentially, one. That's essentially what this is going to happen. Like, if I drop a 1 LP, like a 2 LP Titan Heart, how many Lightless Arbor attempts do you think it would be worth to buy that item.
I'm going to throw this number out immediately. I feel like when I do Lightless Arbor, if I'm trying to spend a bunch of money and I just don't care, I feel like 5 million is like a big juiced up Lightless Arbor.
Yeah. And you got to think like, how many of those do you think you want to do to make up for the item that you're selling, right? Because that's what you're doing now, because gold is worthless outside of buying items in Lightless Arbor, right? So that means that like, essentially what's going to be happening is like favor, Lightless Arbor. Those are going to be like the things that measure. And like if favor is it's going to be like that. But now it seems like as though the game determines the favor. So like it won't get so absurdly ridiculous with favor. Like the player can't decide the favor cost.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. One thing that's, I said this before, but like if you were writing a dissertation on like online economies or something, this is the perfect time to study what's going on in game. It's like, it's so fascinating.
If anyone's doing that, I can do interviews.
All right. Or you can just go COF and you can just like, every time an item drops to the ground, which is a lot of fun
COF
so far.
Just get Lightless Arbor runs anyways.
You could just do that too. And like, you got nothing else to spend your gold on, you might as well.
Yeah. So I think the only problem I foresee with Merchants Guild is just how inflation is going to hit. That is going to determine whether or not I view the system being good. And in theory, that should be easy to fix, right? Like, imagine if there was like a Lightless Arbor chest, like a chest like mod that was super rare, right? Super fucking rare, like ridiculously rare, right? And it was really mega expensive. So you're like re-rolling to try to get it. That would end up being like a gold sink. So like, for instance, imagine there was like a Lightless Arbor thing that says like drop 1 high rarity unique with LP on it, right?
What, like you mean like the door at the end? What if there was one that says like there will be a box that has a 4 LP item in it?
You need to spend money on it. You need to spend money on it, like gold directly. So like, for instance, you know, like when you like refresh and the gold value gets higher, essentially what you're going to sit at the Lightless Arbor, you're like refresh. Because
then it's like
the
3 LP unique item.
You're not going to run out of gold. You're going to run out of keys. So then what happens is like, how much gold is a Lightless Arbor key worth spending on?
Sure,
right? So if I click refresh,
that's an interesting idea.
That number is going to get before I'm like, okay, this is worth it. Click.
Yeah.
Right. Versus like how many Lightless Arbor keys do I have? And that requires you to, guess what? Play the game, because you can't buy Lightless Arbor's keys. So at that point, it's going to be like, well, how much gold am I willing to spend to not waste my Lightless Arbor key?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So let's move on from it. I want to continue hitting a wide swath of things to see like what's the vibe on
even
this.
have a discussion about this is good.
It's good. It is good. It is good. Like
that means that it's not a complete new bait trap.
Listen, I'm just happy that it's 1.0 and we have more things to talk about than just like me playing chess while the loading screens are loading. Like this, I'm very happy that this conversation is going so well.
Yeah.
So when it comes to 1.0, we've been live on this podcast for about an hour at this point, and we tend to do like an hour and a half. And one of the nice things about this podcast is we do it every week, so we always have more things to talk about. What other stuff for 1.0 do you want to make sure we discuss right now?
How big? Actually, you know what? This is a good discussion. You know what? Fine. I had someone come in my chat the other day, and he was complaining and saying that Rune Master was dead because his build wasn't working anymore.
That is complete nonsense. But yeah, I love it. I love it. Tell me more.
Now, I looked at his gear, right? We'll talk about Warlock and Falconer, and that's what this is going into, okay? That's what this is going into, Kelfara. It's actually segueing into that conversation. He was like, Rune Master is dead. And I looked at his gear. He was playing a Twisted Heart build after the Twisted Heart nerf with no HP on his gear whatsoever. It was like a Core of the Mountain with LP, like tier 7 int. He had like swaddlings with no HP. Sure. No HP whatsoever, right? And he was trying to play with Twisted Heart. It's like, oh, I went from 20k ward to 2k. I'm like, yeah, because Twisted Heart actually requires investment now. It's not bad. It just requires investment. right? You can't just play a 1k HP Andy like Rune Master and make Twisted Heart actually function for you. Now it is a reward for HP stacking, right? Like not as much as it was before, but Twisted Heart is still a good item, right? We can all agree with that, right? Like it's still a good item, right? So it was just like seeing him complaining, like, "Oh, my way of building Rune Master is dead," and it made me realize, well, there's like 20 other ways of building Rune Master right now that do completely fine. Like, for instance, you know the Elemental Nova build that I played with Rune Master with like the triple invocation and the node that gives you reward per intelligence? That completely dodged all the nerfs. That build is still good. It was still getting to like 10k ward easily, right, with that version. So essentially, what this has done is it's gotten rid of all the dumb Rune Master stuff, like the sheet, like the flame ward and all that, right? And it has made it so that like the class seems way more balanced than before with just a few targeted nerfs.
You make me want to log into my Frostbite Frostclaw and see how much ward I can generate.
Yeah,
it's like I've got 1,000 life on that character.
Now the problem is you still have CFC, so it's
sure do, baby.
But yeah, and like that's what I was like, and I was like thinking, I'm like, well, what's gonna happen when that nerf hammer comes for Falconer and Warlock, right? And like if people are like, oh my god, Rune Master's dead already, I'm like
they changed nothing and you're complaining about it. People are going to complain, but
like CFC still exists, guys.
I do like the changes to Rune Master, like across the board. I think they're all great. Fine.
I think the only thing they missed, I think there's two things I hate about the change of Rune Master. One, what the fuck is going on with CFC? What the fuck?
They basically unchanged.
Basically unchanged. I think if they made the reduced damage taken to like 10% and kept the ward how it was, I think that would have been fine. Right.
It was strange, wasn't it? I was expecting a bigger nerf than that.
Like it was like, well, it was just the wrong nerf. It was like they nerfed the other part hard, right? It was CFC. You can explain it real quick if you want.
I have a chat command for virtually everything. CFC is Rowan's Frostguard. I have an image that I just linked there live in Twitch chat. So I do like transitioning to talking about Warlock and Falconer.
Yeah.
There's a ton of cool stuff to do. It almost seems hard to make a bad Falconer build, hard to make a bad
that's how
Warlock
Rune Master
build.
went. And that was like my point with that guy coming in my chat. It's like, like my Rune Master build. Well, his Rune Master build was a bad Rune Master build, but it was still generating 20k ward.
Yeah.
Right? Like remember the guy, like remember when we were playing the Lightning Blast build, like the stupid Spark Charge thing? And we're
Don't you call that stupid? You get those words out of your mouth.
In Arena. Well, it's not stupid. Like we were playing in, like he was playing in Arena. He was like at 1k waves, like a meh build, right? And he was still doing fine just because of how much ward he was doing. That's very interesting to see that kind of dichotomy where like that was how powerful Rune Master was. And even with these nerfs, like maybe it's like maybe half as strong as it was. Right. And it's still really strong.
So,
and I'm curious what's going to happen to Falconer and Warlock because of that.
I do like that they released in a strong state. I think it's better to release strong.
Yeah, I enjoy that too.
Yeah.
Like imagine if like Falconer released in like a Forge Guard state, right?
It'd be the biggest meme. It reminds me, and like you were around for these jokes when we were talking about Singularity when that was first edited in the game.
Same thing.
And like I wish that Singularity it's like more hit based damage, but like you can't crit at all. And
you know what they should do for Singularity? Real quick, 1% more damage per 5 total attributes with non-crits.
Sure. Yeah. Awesome.
Love it. Cool. Yeah.
But I wish the Singularity would have been buffed. I wish it would have released in a stronger state so that people would be more encouraged to actually explore it as opposed to just like look at it numerically very small, disregard it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's where we are currently with Falconer and Warlock, where everything's strong and people want to and feel encouraged to explore all kinds of stuff because everything scales off of every stat and it's hard to make a bad one. And that's excellent.
We can figure out what's actually broken, like, you know, CFC.
I don't mind it. Like it's strong as fuck. You know, like Shadow Daggers is still busted and Bleed Warlock's insane.
Remember that bug
whatever
Amaranthi found with like the teleport 0 mana cost meteor cock thing? That existed for a few months.
Yeah.
Imagine if like, we all didn't test it or test anything like it because guess what? They nerfed the meteor belt off the bat, right? And I feel like as though premature nerfs, like you said, it ruins
creativity. Yeah.
Well, it ruins the balance thing because the way it work, like the way balance should work, at least in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like it needs to be an action and a reaction. They add Warlock, it's good. They react to it by nerfing it. If you nerf it beforehand, like for instance the net trap stuff, right? Then no one wants to even play it in the first place to mess with it, right? And then no one's testing it, right? Stuff like I agree with that completely.
So we can talk a little bit about Warlock and Falconer. I'm playing a Warlock right now. I feel like what I'm doing is stock standard. You haven't done anything with Falconer yet, have you?
I dropped a 2 LP Blood Roost, so Falconer will probably be my third build.
Wait, you found a cool item on the ground and now it makes you want to play a build?
Yeah.
Wait, that's an exciting thing to have happen, isn't it? All right, so I'm playing a Warlock. I'm scaling Necrotic Res, and I'm using Chthonic Fissure in order to apply Torment, and like Torment is the brunt of my damage. I don't know if I want to do Torment endgame. Maybe I'll end up doing something else. Maybe do Witchfire stuff. It looks, sorry, not Witchfire, Ghost Flame. You can do Witchfire. I'm not going to.
I'll do Witchfire.
But like maybe Dam as well if I can farm up the two-handed axe for that. It sounds like a lot of fun. But like I'm just scaling damage, and all damage is good damage when you're playing a Warlock because everything scales really well, and who cares? So far it's like smooth sailing calm seas, and I'm really enjoying it. I like the top node in the Warlock skill tree. Like you dam on spellcast, you dam yourself as well, and the tension between damming yourself and putting all those ailments on yourself, and also like you want ward, but like your dam stacks are eating away at your own ward, and you want dam stacks because they give you more damage, but like do you want to cleanse them off yourself if you go on low health? And that tension, and like, do I want leech if I'm a ward-based build? Am I a ward-based build, or do I just like, am I a life-based build with 3k life and I happen to like that tension between offense and defense? I think is very, very good. So Warlock nailed that for me.
I think what you do is you play it. And oops, all these damned ailments, and that's what you name it.
Just like ailment this, ailment that, just like scale damage over time.
Yeah.
I think that's a totally appropriate build.
What you can do too is you can armor stack with the armor mitigation gloves with double with the affix with the like the like you can get like 40% of that, and then you get like less poison damage taken with Aura of Decay and stuff like that. I think you could do something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah, less damage taken from damage or like armor applies to damage over time. Having that as a way to mitigate self-dam is nice.
With like the Aura of Decay, just turning it on, having the ramping node, and then turning it off later.
Cool.
Right? It's an active play style, but still.
Sounds awful.
It does sound awful, but yeah.
I did hear one very interesting piece of technology, which kind of disappoints me, but I'm going to talk about it anyways.
Oh boy.
An item that I think perhaps is problematic and maybe needs to be reworked in some way is that item you get at like level 5, level 7, Gambler's Fallacy.
Boots?
Gambler's Fallacy.
Yeah.
Gambler's Fallacy sets your base critical strike chance to 105.
That works with Falconer. It works with
you take Falcon off your bar, you put the amulet on, you put Falcon on your bar, you take the amulet off. Your bird has plus 100 crit and inherits that.
Oh, that's just a snapshotting issue.
It is a snapshotting issue, but it's really strong.
Issue. Like for instance, remember the one with like the death rattle plus the totem thing?
And that's been fixed.
Yeah, like they'll fix that eventually. That's fine. Wait, I have a 2 LP doublet of Onus Toll and a 2 LP Blood Roost. What the fuck? I just noticed
Bleed
that.
Falconer, here we come.
But no, I'm gonna play I'm gonna play like Blood Specters. Fuck Falcon.
Have you seen anyone mess around with the with David Harbour's helmet?
No, but I have seen a lot of people assuming they know how good it is.
I saw a clip of it was somebody from Twitch chat shared the clip. It was like Arborist or Amarathi or somebody, some minion gamer. Oh, you know who it was? It was Zakar, and he had it hitting for like 450k and hit like 4-shot a Shade of Erebus. Just like bonk, 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 bonk.
I assumed it'd be good.
It's a lot of damage.
Like Wraith's skill tree is really good, guys.
It is.
Let me see here.
It actually excites me to play it. Like I don't like having 15 minions running around, but having like 1 Giga Chad, like that, it kind of sounds cool. I like the idea of it a lot.
Wraith Lord's Harbor I could buy one for 8k, really?
8k is a very low price tag.
That is a very low price. All right.
Quick buy.
Cool. No,
you're really shopping while we're doing a podcast. Look at this.
Well,
guy. This is what Merchants Guild does to a guy's brain.
I wanted to look at. We were talking about Wraith Lord, so I wanted to see if it was expensive because it's a new fancy item. Okay?
Likely story.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it. Totally not redeeming some of the cells I got. Totally not.
Oh, my reputation number is going up. Listen, as long as you no longer like actually play maps like you used to on the podcast, now you only market manipulation.
Hey, I only wanted to look at the Wraith Lord helmet. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So how about like a build that you're excited to either try yourself or see somebody else try?
My friend King, the same guy with the one punch paladin build.
Sure.
He is a big fan of Cold Stone Elementals.
Cold Stone Elementals are the ones that come off of Avalanche.
Yep, and they were bugged. They did not scale with attunement at all.
Okay.
At all. Literally, not at all. Nope. And that was bugged. And the old version we used to play, I tried it. We tried with the Yulia boots, right? To do like mint ice cream Cold Stone Elementals.
This was like 2 months ago, right? Like pretty recent?
It was, yeah. And it was pretty bad because, like, you'd have to, they're temporary minions and you have to keep them alive. And if they all die, they lose the temporary Maelstrom buff, right? But if you were aware of all the changes that has happened so far, minion flat melee damage is everywhere now. You can get it on your Falcon Fists with LP because it's a generic item, remember. You can get it on the affix of your weapons, right? On your suffix. Right? You can do it everywhere and get all this minion flat melee damage that Cold Stone Elementals did not have access to. And the reason why this is so important is because Cold Stone Elementals are what I call like an exponential scaling minion. Because the more leech you have, the more damage you have, the more leech you have. The more leech you have, the longer this Cold Stone Elementals last because they're like wraiths, right? Where they decay.
Is there a cap?
Nope. And the more damage you deal with them, the more you have, because of course they leech more and they survive more, right? And now the attunement scaling is working with them, you can make sure they don't just instantly get fucking one-shotted, right? So all of this combined means that, and like it might be really good because the old problem with the old Cold Stone Elementals is you didn't have enough flaps, so you had to use the Yulia boots, and that took time to set up, and they could die, and it was awkward. He is literally just running through monos, letting the Cold Stone Elementals do the work for him with like a traversal skill. It is just so stupid right now. And it's going to be we're going to be doing a video about that once he gets it into endgame. It's going to be very fun.
That's adorable.
It is very, okay. It's not even adorable. It might be just like damage, like ridiculous damage, by the way.
It might just be like a new meta.
It might just OP, yeah. Not meta, because like
it's still a shaman.
It's melee minions, right? Melee minions. That's the problem there. But like it will be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
What are you looking forward to?
There are some builds I'm looking forward to. How about there's one that I'm like really excited for, but I don't want to say it out loud. Should I say it out loud? I don't know.
I know how that feels. It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
I'm gonna save that one in my back pocket.
I'm being very careful of what I talk about and what I don't talk about because I have to be.
Yeah, I hear you.
It really is the season of discovery here.
It is, and like that's the fun part too. Man, imagine if they were like a tier list. Okay, never mind. Let's move. What do I want to see? I want to see. I want to see more Profane Veil. We like talked a little bit about Profane Veil, and like Profane Veil has profane orbs in it, and they scale like 45 or 60%. I think it's 60. It's like 60% more damage per curse on the enemy. And like, they also have other more damage multipliers in Profane Veil's skill tree. And like Profane Veil is kind of a busted skill because you have a 100% chance to dodge.
Yeah, I think you can do that, and you can keep it like up, and you can use the curse thing to like. So what you do is you yell "fuck" a few times, and all of a sudden your cooldown's gone, right? So like I think it'll be cool. You can get like cast speed with like Spirit Plague, and it was like cast speed with curses. You get cast speed wall curse on idols. Like you're gonna get so much cast speed. As
I'm interested in seeing Profane Orbs because like I'm kind of eyeing them on my build right now, and I'm like, do I want to play Torment, which is like a spell curse? Do I want to play
Oh, can you
Damn?
tell me something? So when it says cast speed of your curses, does that only scale with the cast speed for curses, or does it scale with all cast speed,
All
including
cast
that for
speed,
curses?
including cast speed for curses.
Oh, thank God!
Yeah.
So that'll be good.
It's
That will
including it
actually-
like kind of
Thank
double
God.
dips on the note
God,
of the Thousand
that's
Mastery.
that's gonna get so absurd. You're
Yeah.
like going to like profane form. You're gonna be like that. You're gonna be like an Ark Survival Evolved. You don't know an Ark Survival Evolved. There's a button that you can press that makes you poop on the ground for fertilizer. Like it just comes out. You just press the button, and like you can just spam click the button until you're out of fatigue, right? And as long as you're gaining fatigue, you can press the button forever and make like a pile of poop on the floor with like Ark, like with Ark, right? And this is what profane form's gonna be like. Like that's what it's
Yeah,
gonna be
it's basically like the infinite poop glitch. It is.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Can't wait to title that YouTube video.
You gotta start it with the clip from Ark, right?
I tried to be excited about something, and you're like, yeah, it just sounds like you're dumping on the floor.
and then you can convert to blood, and you could call it bloody diarrhea.
I don't want to have to edit this before we put it up. I'd rather just
Yeah.
put. We're gonna
I'm good,
move
bro.
on
I'm
once
good.
again.
I'm good.
I have a closing thought for you, and the closing thought is this. So we saw Rune Master, yeah. And before Rune Master, we saw Druid, yeah.
Yeah.
So Druid's skill that you got at level 15, speccing into his werebear form, and the skill that you got.
That's pretty good, by the way.
It's a pretty good one. It's got a lot of utility built into it. It's very popular, fun.
Yeah.
Runic Invocation is what Rune Master gets access to, and like the experimentation
Just don't
phase for a new
play,
player.
Just don't do what is it called? Hydra User anymore, and you're good.
So Thonic Fissure is just like amazing for leveling.
Yeah.
Lots and
I
lots
heard
of
the
different
single
places.
target like starts falling off a little bit in the end game. I was told about that.
So Torment might fall off. So we'll see. I don't
Yeah.
know. It depends how much.
Yeah, I
necrotic res you
watched
have.
some clips about Torment too, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah.
And then Falconer, of course, has Falcon, which scales in every which direction, and there seem to be a lot of different things that you can do with it, including just like Falcon minion damage. Huh?
So we can talk about Forge Strike, right? And how
I was gonna say, how do you feel about
Forge Guard, right?
Like Forge Strike almost has the identity of being like the linchpin build or the linchpin skill that scales the rest of your thing, and it kind of ties the room together because it has the forge weapons, but forge weapons are just a little bit, just a tiny bit bad. And like, it's not bad, or sorry, Forge Strike is not bad. It's like,
It is
okay. It's Forge Strike. Using Forge Strike is kind of garbage. But like looking at other skills, and we got to talking about this, things like Detonating Arrow. Detonating Arrow does not tie the room together in the same way as like these newer skills do. And things like imagine if a Blade Dancer build, imagine if like 60% of Blade Dancer builds used dancing strikes, and they all used it in a different way.
That would require it to be good.
Well, yeah, exactly, right? So Runic Invocation is used by like basically every single Rune Master.
So
and all in different
they got
ways.
rid of the non-attack suit scaling on Tempest Strike, and it looks way better now.
It does.
Can we get that for dancing strikes now?
Yeah, it scales cooldown right now, doesn't it? But it would be nice. It would be nice. The signature skills of the last couple like large scale mastery reworks that we've seen end up being like 80 to 90% of that class. They use that skill, but they don't necessarily all use it in the same way. You werebear, but you might be a spell build or melee or like a vine bear thing, minions.
Or you're swapping between frames.
Yeah, or
the swarms.
And like
swarm
Runic
build,
Invocation,
right?
you might use it for offense or defense or this kind of thing, but like you're speccing into it. It's like every single Rune Master has that spec.
Even
every
if
single
you're just using
Falconer
it for utility and teleporting, right?
every single Falconer is going to have a Falcon, whether you spec into it or not, but it still ties the room together. And like Thonic Fissure is definitely the same way because it has all these procs on it. Like what if Detonating Arrow had that kind of synergy? Because like you could play.
They're slowly doing that with stuff like Explosive Trap.
They are,
right?
yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, like it's getting there. And I think Detonating Arrow is a good skill when you shoot it and it's not like you're playing Vats and like Fallout and there's like a chance for you to miss, right? I think it's great when that is like I think that there's going to be a really good Detonating Arrow build. Stay tuned. But I think that there's going to be a really good Detonating Arrow build that I have planned that I wanted to play, but like I said, I also don't like playing Vats either. So I don't like having like a 20% chance to miss every single time. That helps a lot, right? But I do have plans for Detonating Arrow.
should like the keystone or not the keystone, like the class skill for Void Knight be Anomaly at level 15?
I think Erasing Strike would be fine if you like what you said before. The Void Rifts actually mattered. Like for instance, imagine if the Void Rifts nodes inside Erasing Strike worked with
buff
the
Void Rifts from other sources
inside Abyss, like inside what is it called, Devouring Orb, and stuff like that, right? Like
I think Void Rifts need that synergy that we've seen in other classes pop up.
Yeah, and they could easily do that. That would be fine. That's like a quick fix, right? Like kind of like how they did with Gathering Storm, right?
Sure. Yeah. Gathering Storm is exactly what made me think about that.
I think Storm Totem is fine. I think Storm Totem just needs like a tree update in general. It'll be fine. Like give it like, oh, Storm Totem on hit, you gain like Gathering Storm stacks or a chance to. Like that would instantly like make Storm
just
Totem
something else that ties together. Like not just one build, but like lots of different things.
Like Holy Aura is just Holy Aura, that's fine. Then like I'm just trying to think of the others. Like Necromancer has Wraiths. Wraiths are pretty good. That's fine. Although Dreadshade should be the mastery skill.
I think Dreadshade should be the mastery skill as well.
Yeah, Dreadshade should. That would also make leveling his Necro not painful.
Right?
Lich is fine where it is. It just needs like a quick revamp. And then like Warlock, like we said. So like that's like all of them, right? Am I missing any?
Beastmaster gets Raptor?
No, it should be Frenzy Totem.
It should totally be Frenzy Totem, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, it really should be.
Yeah, but yeah, it's fine. That's really old design. It's fine.
We'll get there.
They did buff Raptor, by the way.
They did. The fact that a small little breath of life, like Healing Hands, finally getting a skill tree,
makes Paladin act like makes
it changes so much.
Like there's so many Void Knight builds and so many like Paladin builds I want to play. It's not even funny.
And like it's like Warlock's brand new, Falcon is brand new, and you and I are like fucking Healing Hands though.
And Gathering Storm.
Yes, man. Just like a tiny little breath of life, a tiny little synergy introduced somewhere.
Fair, it really helped too because of the new armor affixes, by the way.
Yeah.
Paladin useful, right?
700 armor.
Helps a lot, right? Yeah.
It's good to get excited about that.
I think that should be it, though. I think we had a good time.
I think that's a good time.
We'll reconvene next week when we can talk about more COF and we can since this was the Merchants Guild episode, we can talk about COF and more. And I have people tweeting in my ear about COF as well. Trust me, I know what COF is like. Yeah, but yeah.
Sounds good. This is a good hour and a half cutting off point. We'll reconvene.
Totally
we'll dismiss
not trying to end it so I can play more. Totally not.
I mean, I want to log back in. Okay, so we had server downtime. We're gonna log back in. I'm gonna be online for like another 6 hours. You're gonna be online for another 12 hours. It's gonna be Friday night, baby. I should go make some coffee too. I should probably go do that.
Yeah.
This has been
pizza staring at me.
You've been sitting there with pizza and you're not eating it.
I want to talk.
Wow, the willpower. I'm not sure I could do that. Yes. It's been episode 41. This is the first podcast of 1.0 for Last Epoch. It's finally here. The game is beautiful. The game is mostly playable. I hear from Twitch chat that the servers are going well right now. There's unbelievable amount of hype and people are having so much fun playing the game. I couldn't be happier. Dread,
don't check the Steam reviews.
Don't check his stupid ass Steam reviews. Dread, thank you for sharing an hour and a half of your time on a Friday night at 1.0 launch here with me.
Before we leave, the new MTX is fucking amazing.
It's really good. Right. I bought some.
Now we can go. Yeah.
I bought some as well. I had a good time
looking at the MTX. I had to convince my wife.
Did you see the shield?
Well, I saw the shield. I bought it and then I was like, please come here. And she's like,
babe.
Okay. I was like, come here. This is what I bought. She was like, you can spend your money. Like, it's a business expense.
I'm gonna write it off my taxes. Listen, if it makes people tune in to watch you, it's a business expense.
Exactly.
It's part of who you are, Dread.
Yep.
See ya. All right, let's call it quits there. Dread, we'll see you next time, buddy. He's dipping. I'm gonna continue doing an outro. If you're watching this live on YouTube or on Spotify, make sure to let us know where you're watching it so we can make sure that you have the best experience possible with wherever you're consuming this media, because we want to make it as good for you as possible. Episode 41, awesome. I'm going to go play some Warlock, and we will see you next time.